And welcome, everyone. The game just ended literally seconds ago as my alarm goes off. And that was another smooth sailing. 51 to 3, Texas wins, beats down ULM. Not a shocker. Really relaxing evening, gentlemen. What do you have any initial thoughts? Anything that struck you immediately? I'm sure Arch, right?
Let's talk about Paul. I want to talk about Paul's journey from. I mean, this. How was your experience on days like today, where you have a nice Texas game, relaxing in one hand, then you have OU, everything on Tennessee every bet you could have possibly had.
And I faded A&M. I had Bowling Green plus 23.5. That final score was 26-20 Aggies. So, yeah, not only did we thrive, but our enemies failed, Drew. And that's what's important in life. Hey, dominant performance. And what's hilarious, I mean, we knew ULM is limited. This is a team that's going to, kudos to them for taking in 73 new players from places like Delta State and various JUCOs and forming a coherent team, but they were just outmatched. And it's an amazing testament of how much I am buying into our defense. We gave up 111 yards on the game, 3 points. And there were times where I was irritated by our tackling in the first half, which, by the way, they cleaned up beautifully in the second half. So I think there's a standard being set here, Drew. And as a defender, a former defender, I think you can appreciate that.
You know, Paul, that was my one takeaway early in the game. So I think this was our fourth game straight where we had a 3-and-out to start the game.
Yep.
So you have a 3-and-out to start the game. Offense gets a layup. Just the number. This is not the offense that you want to give a ton of shots on goal, and our defense is giving it to them early. I don't care what anyone says about competition or the opponent. There are several really, really talented teams that should be just strangling their opponents early on, and they're not doing it every week. Our team has done that. Defense is getting stops early. We're getting early turnovers. We're putting up points. You just want your team to show up and strangle their opponent early if they can. And these guys did it again today.
If I have a criticism, yeah, I mean, look, we showed too much Colin Page. Kelson was right last week. You hold that guy back to OU. You create that wrinkle. Obviously, he's going to drop between 170, 235 yards against the Sooners. But we showed too much. Now OU is going to prep for him. Not that it will matter. But
hey, Toadvine from inside Texas, of course. He's going crazy over Colin Page. The first white football player Toadvine has ever liked. The first white football player he is not called slow. I'm wondering if some bias is rearing its head over there. Hey, that's a good player. He's exactly what you want to finish the games, right? He's kind of the hammer in the bullpen. Come out and take the load off. I love what they did to Jay and Blue. You're going to miss some time? I'll tell you what. Why don't you just come out and run it 20 whatever times. Have sort of a career game, at least from a touchdown standpoint, and pound it in. But, that was a fun game, I guess. I was watching OU and Tennessee as much as I was watching that game, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, they don't tell you whenever you're really good, man. It's the games are not as exciting. We're not sweating it out like 38-25 in the third quarter against like Wyoming or whatever. Yeah. It's a different thing, man.
And the deep divers counted coup on Eric and the other guys who thought Arch was going to throw for over 3.5 touchdowns. It was the under.
No. Account for 3.5, which he didn't do. But you also thought it was going to be 48-3. You weren't even close. I had 52-3.
I do apologize.
You're just an idiot.
I know. If you guys exactly predicted 51-3 in the exacta, or you took my 48-3 score, I apologize for that. But I was off 3 points. But we got the cover and we got a nice victory. And hey, let me ask you guys. Was there a singular takeaway offensively beyond the Arch Manning hype? And he obviously had some good throws. He had some bad throws. He has a downfield disposition. Is that a fair statement?
Yes.
Drew, what do you think? I've got two thoughts.
I agree on the downfield disposition. The thing that stood out to me earlier is, throwing the ball to Wingo. When have we had a negative play? Even
Right.
the
That's
parent.
true.
I mean, the kid is either he's going to come down with it, or there's going to be a PI. I mean, he is. I'm waiting on them to be a negative play to him. He's one of those players. Even if you force the ball to him, he finds a way. So I appreciated that. The turnovers, while expected early, was I the only one who picked up on Sark being a bit pissed off?
Yeah,
No,
at
I
that
saw that.
halftime.
So
Yeah.
I appreciated that part of it. I appreciate Sark having that fire and having a standard. And I mean, there's reasons for those turnovers, and we gotta clean that stuff up because the defense was balling. So, I mean, beyond that, yeah, we're
So I've got a takeaway from our Monday inside the or Humidor whatever insider notes. We had a source say, he's kind of a playmaker, and with that, there's some good stuff and some bad stuff. And I thought that was odd at the time, but he was like, sometimes you have to take it as you get it. And he mentioned how Pat Mahomes had one of his worst career games. The guy's always going to try to make plays, and it felt like that was foreshadowing as I watched that game unfold, because Arch is not looking for the check down. He's looking to make something happen. He's going to throw it over the top and trust his receivers in ways that I don't think we've seen. It reminded me of the Oklahoma State game plan in 2022, the wind game where they just force-fed Xavier Worthy the whole night. It didn't seem like we saw the whole fully evolved offense. And to me, it felt like Sark was testing Arch to some degree.
Let me read this real quick and let me chat on it. Hey guys, was a great game. No disrespect to Arch, but we felt like he went for the long ball a lot. How much of that is game planning versus a young quarterback?
Well, they clearly saw something with the deep post. They went back to it over and over and over. They usually had Bond or Wingo running it, and Arch threw it whether it was there or not. So part of the maturation of a young. I mean, I got to tell you, he threw one in the second half. He threw into triple coverage, but he put it right on the receiver.
Yeah.
The DB had to get his hand up to deflect it, and good play by that guy. But I mean, look, Arch has got a higher risk tolerance probably than Quinn. People always call Quinn a gunslinger. He's actually a very careful quarterback. He's in his career, he's got the lowest interception percentage of any quarterback in Texas history. So, he's not this crazy gunslinger. He'll check it down more often than not, or throw one of his intermediate balls. Arch wants to stretch the field and move it downfield, and he'll learn to take his shots, and he'll learn when not to take his shots. And, I just think that it's part of the maturation and growth. I love that you can do that in a 51-3 victory. And whether Quinn starts next week or not, I hate to be that guy, but Mississippi State is not bringing much to Austin. So we're going to have another game where they've got to play to a standard, and, we'll see plenty of Arch whether he starts or not.
Yeah, and with Quinn too, I mean, his ULM interception 2 years ago was very similar to Arch's first one. They was just kind of trying to force it. And I think too, like Quinn has become a lot more chill. That Oklahoma State game, I think, scarred him for a good reason. But also, I mean, Quinn was trying to throw it to Worthy too. He wasn't getting past read one when he was young, just throwing it up there. So I want to see Arch kind of do that same progression. People are saying here that like Sark is all about the deep ball. You take it. That's Sark's offense. The long ball is the key to the offense. I mean, he hasn't been doing that this season. Sark's been really tapped in with the intermediate game with Quinn's strength. So it's like, yeah, if you can hit the deep ball, but I think we were spamming the deep ball is the point the guys.
It was also the first time they were really running the ball with a concerted effort too, though.
Right.
That's when the deep ball normally plays off of. So that was kind of like the quintessential Sark offense. But we didn't really see a whole lot of the 2024 offense, intermediate RPO stuff, which, when they evaluated Arch and went after Arch, they knew he'd be a killer at RPOs just because of that lightning release. We didn't really see much of that. He had that one over the middle throw, I think, to Bolden that was beautiful. But we didn't see the whole thing. I mean, it's pretty exciting when they win by 48 points, and they're only showing part of it.
Hey, that Bolden catch was a catch.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Like if that's a catch, like if we were all kids playing pickup football, that's a catch.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, in the football gods rewarded it because they went back to Matthew Golden and got basically the same yardage back.
Yep.
The whole ball don't lie theory.
Is Silas Bolden not scare the hell out of you guys with his punt returns?
he's a little reckless.
He gets a little. It's like he has the green light to do it too.
Yeah.
I was
I
thinking.
know. That's the weird part. It's like you think
maybe after a couple of days they're going to tell him to chill out.
I was looking for a game earlier. I saw Goodfellas was on while we had Texas on. So he's got a little Joe Pesci to him. He's going to do whatever the hell he wants. He's going to stab you in the neck with a pen and try to return a punt.
Yeah. Well, it's like that's what bums me out is because he's pushing so hard, and that's why I wanted him to have that catch too. I'm like, give him something, man.
That was a catch.
Yeah, you can tell how much he wants to make that play, and for whatever reason, but I think
that was a bad block in the back on Trey Moore on Anthony Hill's interception return too. The guy just dove in front of him.
Yeah, it was cheap.
Yeah, that was nonsense.
Yeah, and
hey, good awareness by Anthony Hill on that play, reading the RPO. That was beautiful.
Yeah, he tipped it to himself. Did he do a stutter step? I think I saw him do a stutter step, and then he got downhill. It was pretty, really good football player. And David Benda, I thought, had a good game too.
Yeah,
he did.
Yeah,
let's speaking of the linebackers, I wanted to ask you guys about this. The future of the linebacker room looks to be in really good hands.
It lacks depth, but it's the first three guys next year are going to be awesome.
Yeah. So LaFau, we're going to have Hill, and then we're going to have Ty Anthony. So I mean, they got a safety and all of that, but I guess what do we do? Backfill with the portal next year and keep.
I think we're like a prime candidate for the all conference G5 dude linebacker who's got 175 tackles, and that guy. You just bring him in and say he can compete for a starting job, but he'll at least be part of the rotation, and that's a guy I would want to bring in for that, just to flesh out that depth. I mean, look, most of the time we play with two linebackers out there anyway. So
right.
Dante Payne. Drew made me feel like an idiot when I suggested Colin should start over Trey. LOL. Thanks for explaining the difference between the two. What were you explaining?
I'm not an idiot, man. It's all good. Hey, Collins gets everybody excited. I mean, let's just call it what it is. I mean, he is a talented player. When you see him come off the ball, when you see him in the pass rush, there's no reason to feel like that, man. I can't wait till he's ready to start getting all of those snaps or a lot more of those. So he just has some development to do. But that's also what's great about the way that this coaching staff handles these young players. They're going to put you in situations to thrive. They'll put you in situations that may be low risk, but you still get some exposure to seeing what it's like and what you need to put on film to really show that you're ready to play. So I do think he'll have his shots and he'll continue to develop. But it's all good, man. He'll learn how to defend the run and he'll start contributing. He's a hungry and strong kid. He'll get there.
He jumped a snap counter too tonight, which made it even more unfair. He's already got the first step. When he starts jumping the snap count, oh man, he's taking the handoff.
Would you see that dude walking off the field? His development. That's a true freshman.
Yeah.
No, Kelston's not impressed because he's like, I look like that. But dude, that guy has developed. I mean, he's gonna just put on good weight, right? I mean, he's gonna be. I cannot imagine. And he's got a great work ethic. He has a great motor.
This is why, and I'm going to go to the grave on it, or at least until the 2027 draft or whatever draft he's in. He's Will Anderson. He's got the work ethic, the body. Will was built like that as a freshman. Now Will looks a lot different as a second year NFL player.
Yep.
But I think he's got the same development. And our buddy on the board, Van Gogh, who's a part of his Art NIL initiative with Colin that he's doing with his brother, has been around him a lot. And he said, Eric, you can't believe how big this guy looks right now after just 6 months in college. So I, like what Paul's saying, he's going to be 255 pounds of put togetherness.
Yeah, with that first step. And then before we get to more comments, y'all, let us hear a quick word from our sponsor.
I'm just going to say, guys, you probably need a fiduciary financial advisor. And I've got the guy for you. His name is David McClellan with Forum Financial. He works broadly and deeply with his clients as a financial life coach. And he should know something about coaching because he won several national championships as a swimmer for the University of Texas. He specializes in financial planning and has contributed numerous articles to Kipling on the topic of retirement tax bombs. So contact David today to be your fiduciary financial planner and schedule a 1-hour consultation to assess your financial situations. The free consultation is available, so just give him a call. The number is 312-933-8823. That's 312-933-8823. His email is also in the description below.
Good stuff. We have another certified football aficionado. Colin Page is the GOAT. Any team that tries to play soft solo coverage is going to see a lot of deep ball from us. Great developmental game. Not sure people realize that Arch is jumping right in the deep end of the pool. How do you feel about Drew?
Is Louisiana Monroe the deep end, Drew?
That's why I was just trying to put all the context into context there. I was like, okay, deep in from a playbook perspective, deep in from the deep shot perspective. I think what Eric pointed out earlier is really what we saw bore out more than anything today is they ran the ball. They wanted to be intentional about running the ball, and off of running the ball, you get those play action shots. So now we haven't seen as much of that, but hey, this was a perfect game for it because we need that in our bag. Sark wants to be versatile. We want our offense to show that it can do different things. So we needed to show that that's something that we can lean into. So, it was successful, to be honest with you. I mean, he hit a few. We were still able to be successful with it. I know people are saying we did it too much, but that's kind of what you do when you start going at it with volume. So I'd still say we were a success, but yeah, you definitely see more incompletions when you're taking those shots than you do when you're just running a really efficient, quicker game, as we've been used to seeing with Quinn.
Yeah, 239 yards rushing.
Yeah, 239 yards rushing to Drew's point. And, Jaden Blue's got to keep his feet on a couple of those. I mean, he's falling down, and it's just sort of mild contact. He's getting off balance, and I don't know what he's doing there, but he had 2 or 3 of those where I think he could have broken a pretty long run, and he just tackled himself. And then a couple of our counters, if Jarrett Gibson will lift up his head a little bit, I know Baby Rhino
he spears everyone. He runs like this with his head
he'll read that, because that was a staple play of my high school: counter gaps, counter tray, whatever you want to call it, GP counter. If the running back has to read that and realize that the hole is usually going to be more in the middle of the field, it's not a sweep, right? And so I think he's just looking to find a dude and dial him up, and he gets 8 yards when it's blocked well, but I think there's an opportunity for him to bust one of those.
Yeah, I think the first thing I was thinking when I watched Jaden Blue play, and I just watched some of these guys, we've been spoiled. We really have been spoiled with our running backs the last couple of years. So, I mean, there are certain plays we're used to seeing guys just find a way, keep their contact, keep balanced, and find those extra yards or take it to the house. It's just, we were really spoiled. So I think when we saw what you've seen him do is what he's repeatedly done. I'm not sure he's going to develop to do much more than that. But when you look at a Baby Rhino and where he's starting and think about his development curve, that's just a different curve, man. When he actually can, because even Trey Wisner, he had to get used to just putting his head down and going. But you're seeing just a different effect of Baby Rhino doing it than when even Trey was doing it. So, but we're just not getting that pop we're used to seeing, and I've kind of seen enough of it to not expect it at this point.
Yeah, and then what was that stat about? Our longest run is like 21 yards or something. They were talking about we're not a very explosive.
Well, that's not true. Arch has something to say about that.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, sorry. From our running backs. So we're not a very explosive running team. And remember in Sark's presser this last week, he said he would like the running backs to quit seeking contact on the third level and trying to go heads up with safeties and actually make safeties miss. So when the coach is messaging to the nation that he would like our backs to quit trying to truck guys when they could actually do finesse, it's pretty funny.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that would have changed any with CJ Baxter if he'd have been healthy too. Yeah, they're going to have to. Yeah, they need to get a little more explosive. I think that'll come with the offense going more into balance, or becoming more balanced with the run pass conflict instead of just RPOs. But we'll see. It's a first world problem that Texas has right now. That their 100-yard touchdown, 4 touchdown game didn't look all that great.
We're a good football team, and we're legitimately hunting for problems to realize the ultimate upside of this team, which is national champion. Let's be honest. I mean, this team can realistically do that. So we're trying to fine tune and discuss every little thing.
All right.
And one thing that I did like is that Sark got a little stubborn in the goal line, running the ball. Like, hey, we're going to run the ball in. And we probably could have play actioned and tossed one in to Gunnar Helm, but he was like, we are going to run this ball in. And I think that was a little message to the team. And, late in the game, that offensive line had worn those guys down. Hayden Connor had a beautiful pancake on that Niblet run. He was robbed of a touchdown, and then he got the touchdown back. So what's with the refs? Like, we're the most screwed 4-0 team I've seen on like these kind of like judgment calls on like all these different calls. It's weird.
I think that the first Niblet call, I think was actually okay because he was out of bounds, and I guess in college the goal line doesn't extend into infinity.
Oh, I thought this was a Texas
YouTube
show, but not an OU one. All right.
Oh yeah, my bad.
Okay.
All right, let's make fun of OU. We need to talk about how much they spent on Dominic Williams while they had all those OU issues.
So did Dominic? I wasn't able to watch the game as much. My understanding is he played like 20 snaps or something, and they just pulled him off.
I don't know, man. I just had so many OU fans in my mentions after they got him. They thought it was going to. I said, you guys went from an 8-4 team to an 8-4 team with 850 less to spend. Oh man, hey, I got to go reach out to those guys.
Miami arguably overpaid for Cam Ward, but Cam Ward is delivering. That dude's throwing to 3 NFL receivers and putting up numbers every week. And Dominic Williams is the same dude that he was last year, which is a middling.
Oh my Lord!
Baylor.
Oh God, Baylor going in to score to tie it in overtime, fumbles out of the end zone. This game over, I think.
That is very Baylor.
Oh my gosh, that should be game over. We'll see. 38-31 overtime. He fumbles. He's going in. He fumbles straight out of the back of the end zone. Oh my Lord!
I need to turn that one on. I don't have it going.
Well, it's too late now. Yeah, that's ball game. Dave Aranda.
And
all right, so DJ Kenny's gonna be next there or what?
Yeah, Kenny would be nice, and then trailer to Arkansas.
Trailer's timing's off, I think.
Where do you guys? I'm curious. Where do you guys put Baylor as in the hierarchy of college football jobs right now?
Number one job in the country now.
Number one job in Waco.
Yeah. I mean, they generally
is a pretty good gig.
Yeah, Midway's a great job.
Let's just shrink. Let's shrink that. I think, Paul, when you make it that large of a question, it's not real, right?
State of Texas.
SMU and TCU today. Look at Texas State.
Yep.
Look at U of H. Look at Texas. Look at when you look just in state. Where?
But there's a lot of coaches that look at it as being set for life for taking that job.
I think Baylor, arguably, when it's weaponized, I think it's as good a gig as any. And I mean, it's obviously maybe the third choice in Texas. You could argue TCU. Maybe you could argue SMU if they get fully weaponized and everything. But I think if I were given the option between coaching Baylor or Texas Tech, I'd coach Baylor.
So would I.
What would Mike Lebby do at Baylor?
Jeff Lebby?
Jeff Lebby, yeah, Jeff Lebby. I said Mike Lebby.
He would have a better football team.
He'd have a better football team than he has right now. He'd have a better football team.
Paul just wants all his misdeeds impossible to FOIA.
That is actually the real takeaway. I
I
want to
want
be
the sheriff's covering for him.
Baylor will disappear some stuff for you. There's no
Yeah.
doubt about that.
What's their NIL like? I hear about Tech's.
Well, they have it on their shirts that it says they pay players now.
They pay players, Connor.
Oh yeah, I saw that. I actually appreciated that. Where they asked, what did they ask Aranda? They're like, "How are your recruiting class improving?" He's like, "Because we pay players." It's like, yeah.
So, honestly, my understanding is that Aranda was kind of the hold up on a lot of that. He didn't really try to go out in glad hand and get NIL lined up because he wanted to do it the Aranda way or whatever.
See, this is what I say, and this is the coaches have to be very careful about this. And I think Sark has done a great job in the first 4 years of doing it his way, but also not letting his ego, like he's molding himself into what college football is becoming. Dave Aranda was the smartest person in the room when he got to Baylor, and who was there to tell him, "Hey, dude, like this is not the way. This is not the way to go. You need to if you get 1 year behind, you're behind. 2 years recruiting, 2 years portal. If you're not doing this every year, it's not going to work. It just doesn't work. You cannot miss a class. That's why it's so hard to get rid of coaches right now. You can't. You will be off track, man. It's just Baylor's in a tough spot.
Yeah. If you're not going to embrace the modern climate, you might as well be a coordinator.
Yeah.
Chip Kelly agrees. That's a very good point. Jeff Halfley was like, "Hey, I'll go be a coordinator in the NFL rather than a head coach at Boston College." So
and that'll be Aranda's next spot.
Yeah, I agree. And to add to Drew's point, which I think is sharp, is, I just think the haves and have-nots are separating. And it's just it's not just money, it's not just NIL, but it's conference affiliation, it's TV money, it's resources, it's exposure. It's the sense of this is NFL prep. If I go play in these two leagues, and if I play in these other leagues, I'm not getting prepped for the NFL. Whether that's true or not, it's just the perception. And the thing that I like and appreciate about Sark is not only does he embrace it, but he's not a slave to it. He has discipline. If someone comes in with outlandish, NIL demands or play demands or anything, Sark just shrugs and go, "That's not our guy. Move on."
Yeah.
And that's hard for coaches to do. They get very competitive with landing recruits and doing stuff like that.
They're doing that right now. There's some guys that they could go back for in this recruiting class that they're just like, "Yeah, we're not sure. We're not sure he's the right fit." And there's they'll also take risks on some other guys that you would think are maybe more of a risk than normal. But they've had a lot of good conversations, built a strong relationship, have been very, very blunt with them. Like, "Hey, look, you've got maybe a little bit of a minor history here, but we believe in your character. We believe in you as an athlete, and we're willing to take a chance on you." So he will go that direction as well. So it's just that's why he spends so much time recruiting these guys personally. He doesn't outsource that to his position coaches. He wants to get to know each one of these guys and make sure they're a program fit before they bring them in, because once they're in, you're at least stuck with them for a year, and that's an allocation you could have had to somebody else that you're developing. You're losing time if you bring in the wrong guy.
Yeah, Sark is hungry, but he's not starved, and there's a difference in your mentality. Speaking of a dude who is not hungry, and we're not going to put Drew on the spot, the fourth president of the United States scored 70 points on North Carolina in Chapel Hill. Talking about James Madison.
Yeah.
And most of James Madison's team, if y'all don't know, plays for Indiana right now for Frank Signetti. So those were like a lot of their second teamers. And this is supposed to be James Madison's rebuilding year. So, man, it's important more than ever to get that sweet spot of a coach's developmental curve. We talked about Colin Simmons and his developmental curve, or Jarrett Gibson. You want him to have some experience and some hides on the wall, but you also want him to still have that drive and desire, because, these older proven coaches with, Mac Brown has won hundreds of college football games. He's probably a little more focused on paying off his lake house right now than, 80-hour work weeks.
I don't know who their DC is this year, but he's going to have trouble. I mean, Mac's going to be able to retire and go. He'll be fine.
James Madison beat Gardner Webb last week,
13-6.
Gardner Webb.
Yeah, Gardner Webb.
Sounds like a place that you buy abrasives from, or
Stallions over
It sounds like one of Andre the
industrial
Lawyer
supplies. Gardner
Yeah.
Webb is an industrial supply salesman.
Speak of the devil, Elijah.
Here we go, babe. Elijah Perez. I love that. No super chat required. Thank you for the cue. Hey, Texas is number 1 in the country. I know the number 1 mortgage guy in this country. His name's Gabe Winslow, and he's a diehard Longhorn. He's at the game right now with his daughter. You can reach him at 832-557-1095. Hey, here's the deal with Gabe. If you bought a house in the last couple of years and you got hit with those higher mortgage rates because of the Fed, you may have noticed that rates are coming down. You may have also noticed that there's a much friendlier rate environment. Gabe has access to even friendlier rates than the public rates that you're seeing right now. And what's more, he will refi you for free. FREE, free. Not a gimmick. Pick up the phone or text him if you're shy and find out how you can do it. 832-557-1095. He's got a list of people from the EGAT podcast and also the Inside Texas YouTubes that are doing this right now. Get added to that list. Get a lower rate. Save more money. Spend it on UT gear. Spend it on UT Nike shoes that Drew and I can't wear because they're not the correct freaking color.
Spend it on playoff tickets.
I like that.
Yeah.
Gabe Winslow. All right, gentlemen.
Good job, Connor.
Let me pull up. I want to show Oklahoma's average per rush, 1.1 yards.
Well, if you do that 9 times, you still punt.
Yeah, yeah. They're
Depends on the spot. You need a good spot. One of those is bound to be a bad spot.
yeah. That was incredible.
Well, Drew, your dream of an undefeated OU has been shattered. Are you upset?
No.
Okay.
They are who I thought they were. I didn't expect it. Unfortunately, it's funny because there are several. This year, I've been more intentional about, you know what, I'm going to engage the SEC and the fans and everything else. And so I've kind of monitored Tennessee and the OU engagement this week. It's been crazy.
Yeah.
The amount of, I don't know how OU fans had as much faith or confidence in their team, the team that we've all seen this year. We have data points, but they were confident in this game. I think they were confident in their defense. I just don't know what they saw in their offense. But the one thing I am happy about is they did leave this game with a lot of faith in Michael Hopkins Jr. And the way that he closed out the second half of the game. And so we're going to pretend Jackson Arnold doesn't exist and didn't just spend the last 9 months as the guy. And we have this guy who's going to be the guy. He's going to take us to the promised land. And I'm anxious to see how he develops over the next week because he has 1 week.
They let Dylan Gabriel go for Michael Hawkins, it turns out.
Oh, wow. Well, hey, this is very similar energy to the A&M thing with Marcel Reed.
Yeah,
it is.
Who I believe, by the way, is a clear upgrade over Connor Wegman. There's no doubt in my mind. But he's a young, inexperienced dual threat quarterback. And those guys make big mistakes against good defenses, and they have to learn the hard way when you can't bring them along properly. And I think OU and A&M are signed up for that journey. Although with Jackson Arnold, I wonder if they have so much invested in him that they have to go back to him.
Yeah, it's kind of like the dual threats are feast or famine, kind of like Heupel standing next to Venables. You don't know what you're going to get from play to play. You don't know what you're going to get from play to play. Touchdown, one play, interception.
That was awesome.
Man.
It's that writer's wit.
I was about to say that. I thought it just came out in the writing. No, it's in his head already.
Oh, man.
Yeah, Jackson Arnold, 44% completion percentage.
I'm telling you.
59.6% rating.
Oh, you did not win, but they have hope.
I think OU, they have like good program-itis where like they've just been good for so long. It's like I'll hear A&M fans talk about this team's different or this is the good team or this quarterback's good, and they literally don't know what it looks like to be. They They have
To
no
Drew's
frame of
point,
reference.
Drew nailed it. OU's overconfidence is warranted.
Right. They've earned it.
It's borne out by history. A&M's is not.
It's the inverse. And that's what
Connor, your favorite subject is that A&M doesn't really have a home field advantage. No matter how many times you hear how amazing Kyle Field is, Bowling Green just took them to the wire, guys.
Yeah.
So
home field advantage should be proven by your wins at home. It can't be a decibel meter. But that's what OU just has. We have friends on the OU content creators, and they're hilarious. For season 1, they were going to win because the Sooner jerseys were imbued by Sooner magic. Because we were like, how are you gonna win with this guy? You don't have a guy here, and they're like, doesn't matter. It's a program thing. So OU just has no frame of reference for not being good.
Right.
So their fans just think automatically they have to be good because they've been good for so long. A&M's the inverse. They always think they're doing great, but they literally don't know what they're looking at. So I think that's what it is with OU. Because I remember game 1, we had OU fans commenting on our chat that they were going to figure it out. And I was like, statistically, man, you don't recover from these like third down rates. Like this is a bigger issue that you guys have. And sure enough, you see down the pipe that you can't get that fixed that quickly.
Connor, everything you just said, it's not even an opinion.
Yeah.
It really is a fact. Like they're the opposites in that way.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting, but they can't even really grasp that they're not good. And now the argument is if we could have a Riley offense with this defense, we would be elite. And it's like, yeah, you would, but that's not how football teams work.
BYU up 17-6 at half in Provo against Kansas State.
Yeah.
Oof.
Don't mess with the Mormons at night in Provo, man.
It looks like Kansas is back to not looking so hot either.
Kansas, so I have a little insight on that one. Jalen Daniels, it's twofold. They lost Kotelnicki,
right?
Who was a really integral part of that offense, and they brought in a more traditional guy at OC and Grimes. And Jalen Daniels, unfortunately, he's got like a chronic back problem. So
he had that. Yeah, he got scratched against Texas. Was that last year?
Yeah. Even this year, sometimes he'll just wake up. And if you guys have ever had a bad back or it locked up on you,
spasms, they're terrible.
It sucks, and you're like, oh, you can't do anything. And then it passes. His is not going away. So sometimes he just gets up on a Wednesday and he can't practice. So that sucks for Kansas.
Yeah, that's weird for a little guy too. Normally it's bigger guys that have that issue.
Michigan beats you. Oh yeah, we didn't even talk about this.
Yeah,
so we can feel better about ourselves on top of feeling good about ourselves in this game.
Well, we could have felt better about ourselves in the second quarter. It's funny how we acted like we were like, oh, we have to wait to the fourth quarter for the game to end to even notice that this is a completely different game than our game on the road against Michigan, which is exactly what I expected. Michigan's defense was always going to be solid this year. I mean, they accounted for a touchdown today. At the end of the day, they didn't do anything special on offense, but run the ball. They did. That's all they did. And
that's a bad loss for USC. That's a bad loss.
Bad loss.
Well, I'll say this:
they gave up 200 yards in like the first half, didn't they? I mean,
yeah, and big runs. I mean, I'll say this: it's pass fail on your offensive line. If you have an offensive line at a certain level, you can block up Michigan and you can exploit their weak links in the secondary. If you don't have an offensive line at a certain level, you just can't execute your offense at a high level against Michigan. And I think that's going to be the determinant for every opponent the rest of the year. And in some ways, we took our offensive line and how good they are at pass blocking for granted. And you see a team like USC with a fairly mediocre offensive line, and you see the result. And then also, why are you throwing at Will Johnson?
Yeah, Michigan didn't even play a good game. Michigan did not play well and still won that game.
That double fumble was hilarious. That was crazy. Kenneth Grant, and he just laid on the ground after he got stripped. He just laid there like, man, that's why they don't let us run the ball ever.
But listen, I'll take a 2:30 game like that every Saturday.
Oh no, that was fun. That was fun. Indiana or not Illinois, Nebraska. Nebraska was a lot of fun too. We that 11 o'clock slate this morning was brutal. But there were some good games this weekend for sure.
Well, and State of Texas former high school quarterbacks had a Saturday, man. Bryson Daly for Army freaking killed it against Rice, and then Mateer, the quarterback at Washington State. I don't know if you've seen this guy, Drew.
Yeah, he's a good player.
He is fearless. He's about 225. He can run. He's from Little Elm, and he throws for 400 and he tries to run for 150 every game. And he takes
Washington State. Okay.
He is a one-man gang. He is handling the ball 70 times a game, either running it or throwing it. And if you can't knock him out of the game, he will defeat you, at least at that level. So
did you get to watch your boy at Vanderbilt?
Diego?
Yeah, did you get to watch him? Yeah.
Of course. Our fates are intertwined.
He's a baller.
They might trap game us, man. They might be the one weird game where they like take us down to the wire because that kid's just all heart.
Well, here's the beauty of Diego. Because he's such an aggressive freaking meathead wrestler, we're going to come into that game a little complacent. He's going to double leg one of our linebackers.
Yep.
And then they're going to be like, and then it's going to be a fight and it's going to be on and we'll just win on talent. But yeah, Diego, the danger of Diego is he might wake up the sleeping giant, right?
Yeah.
But you want him on your team because he has injected competitiveness into Vanderbilt. Like those guys were going through the motions last year and they are trying to win the game this year. And it's a big difference.
Yeah. I want to circle back to the final Arch stat line.
While you're doing that, by the way, Cal dominated Florida State in Tallahassee. They missed two 38-yard chip shot field goals and lost.
Oh, man.
I mean, Florida State is in a bad way, and if they've got other recruits we're interested in, Eric, this would be a good time for us to contact them.
Oh, yeah. I mean, so I'm going to put in a prediction for Javian Hilson for Texas in the morning. I might as well do it now since I just said it on a live. I've got it written up and ready to go.
Oh, I was gonna do it too. Eric took my idea, but
he decommitted a week or two ago. We knew that was coming. And then Texas is also getting a visit from Dalen McCutcheon, talented wide receiver out of Lucas Lovejoy. I've kind of likened him to Steve Smith, the USC Steve Smith, where maybe he's not great in anything, but he's good at everything. I think he'd be a really good balance to this wide receiver class. He's going to visit next week. A&M is trying to get him for a visit as well. But, yeah, Florida State is down bad. We knew this was going to end poorly. I forget how much they're on the hook for Norvell after that raise he just got, but it's they're in dire straits. I don't think they have the money that A&M had to get rid of Jimbo Fisher. So
no, they're going to pay a huge penalty to get out of the ACC. So that getting rid of Norvell is not an option. And I don't think it should be. I think he screwed up a bunch of stuff, but he's right. To me, he's been a pretty good coach. I mean, we can't hold one horrific year against him.
Well, he had that rough start. The first year or two were pretty bad. Everybody's running out his picture from his Memphis quarterbacking days, looking like Paul Wall. So he wasn't the most popular figure, and then he had the big year, of course. It's just a weird situation. It's dire over there. But yeah, Texas is going to pickpocket them for they got Myron Charles. They're going to get Javian Hilson, I think. Working on Dalen McCutcheon, wide receiver. I haven't even looked at the rest of the class. I guess, Texas is looking at other schools that are not performing as well as they'd like right now. It's going to be like I've been writing on Inside Texas the last couple of days. It's going to be a very fun finish to the cycle. Use IT1 promo. IT1 promo. Get two months for $1.
Yeah, you were saying over under on 5 flips, and you were saying you even feel more bullish about that today, man. It's gonna be exciting.
It's gonna be more. It'll be more than 5 flips. There's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes. I'm trying to tell the board as much as I can without kind of hurting Texas. Malcolm Simpson was on campus today. Hyper athletic defensive tackle, very similar to Jere Bledsoe in almost every way. If everything checks out, he's a very, very good athlete. D-line, a little bit of a tweener between Jack and defensive tackle, but you'll grow into the right position. We'll see if that offer comes. I tend to think that offer will be on its way to him. He did alert the Nebraska staff. He's committed to them that he's going to visit. So a little bit of a tough weekend for them. They're going big at defensive tackle. He's an elite athlete. There's a lot more flips on the way. Remains to be seen if Malcolm will be one of them, but there's a lot of flips on the way.
And then when do they start the new scholarship amount? When does that begin?
For the 2025-2026 season is what they what I read today. I thought it was going to be for the next class, but the way Texas is acting right now, it seems like it's going to be for this class because you look at them, they have 21 commits right now. I could see them ending up with 30 in this class.
Dang.
Really?
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on right now. They've still got a lot of needs, and they're going to get a little greedy. So they'll stop taking guys when they stop upgrading the roster.
Wait, if we take 30 guys, that's a number 1 or number 2 class, right?
Well, it depends on how you measure them. I think On 3 goes by the top 17 guys, so it probably would be 1, 2, or 3.
Okay.
It kind of depends on some of the big fish they are. The better the player, the harder the flip. So they're going to go after some of those really good players. They're not easy to flip, but Texas number 1. It's funny. I got asked a couple of weeks ago on Inside Texas, will Texas finish higher in the AP poll or in the recruiting rankings? And I said the team's going to finish higher. Now I'm starting to think they might finish around the same area.
All right, and then in about 10 minutes, Eric will list every single flip. If you guys super chat a couple $1,000, he will.
A couple more Coronas.
Yeah. Y'all give us.
Don't say it, Connor. They'll do it.
Yeah, give us a couple $1,000 in the chat, guys, and Eric will name every flip candidate for you guys. No problem. All right. So Arch, 52% completion percentage.
It's a good batting average.
Yeah. Not great. So they're
perfect. Everybody now we can just be the team we need to be and don't have to worry about anyone.
Yeah, we can get back to without everyone being like, ESPN and shambles right now.
But that goes back to how deep down the field the targets were. He took a lot of deep shots. They're going to have a lower accuracy percentage for that. So that played into it. Like I said, we didn't see the full offense. We didn't see the quick game that Quinn has been excellent at. Not a lot of RPOs.
Skip Bayless is going to call him a fraud tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mike Farrell, who said if he was Arch Smith, he'd be a high 3-star, is going to feel vindicated tomorrow.
Yeah. That will be interesting. So what did you guys think about the blue interception? The first interception he threw was just, young guy, dumb mistake. But do y'all think he had too much mustard on the blue throw, or what did y'all think that also was just him? Paul, you shook your head.
I was going to let you finish your sentence. Then you just trailed off because you.
I just finished
you just got bored.
As soon as I saw your head shake, I was like, Paul's about to drive this thing home.
I thought he put too much zip on the ball, but Jaden Blue also needs to not volleyball set that.
Yeah, he seems less explosive. Blue. So I wonder if like the ankle or the injury stuff like that. But he could really step off last season and provide those 40-yard runs. He just seems like he's a little bit.
They had that swing pass. They had that swing pass that I think he could have caught. It was a poor throw, and then the blockers were set up, and then you're going to see him about to go 22 miles an hour. But dropped the completion wasn't converted. It wasn't a good throw. I don't know. We'll see. I'm not worried about Blue just yet.
Word. Saw that Blake Shapen is out for the season. So, yeah, I spent a couple hours really breaking down Blake Shapen for you guys and his history at Baylor and all the breakdowns, like a good 4 minutes worth of the breakdown. And then I watched the game today, and in the fourth quarter, he goes out with the shoulder, and they say he's out. So now I just have to scrap all of that and then do the Van Buren kid. But Shapen is out for the season with a shoulder injury. It's not going to be a huge difference for them. It's not a good team, but yeah, I guess Van Buren is going to have to get trotted out versus the Texas defense. And he did all right I think he had 2 drives, and he drove them down on one of them, and he almost scored on the last one. So he moved them all right, actually, for coming in randomly. I don't know if you guys got to see the game, but
yeah, I watched some of it. That is a bad team. I watched Florida. Florida was a less bad team. Florida might have celebrated on that plane ride home, but they're not good. That's going to be Texas's 4th bye week of the season that sets up before a bye week, before OU. They're not good. So hopefully Texas can actually, get. I'm worried about human nature setting in and them just not, being tested. They're not, coming into these games with as much fire as you'd like, and it's just human nature. They're not. You just don't prep as hard when you don't have to. That's just unfortunate byproduct of being human.
As long as our defense keeps showing up the way it's showing up, I'll feel okay.
Yeah, defense travel.
The defense has been traveling. The defense has been flying around. They're excited to play. I'm good as long as the defense is good.
Yeah.
I would like to see our running game on offense be something we can lean on if we're just trying to get into a rhythm, especially if Arch is at quarterback. I know Quinn can get into a rhythm without needing to rely on a running game, but we just need both to be available just in case.
So you want the running game to be available? Well, we got the answer right here. Colin Page, 10 rushes for 62 yards. That's 6.2 yards per carry, everyone, which is an elite running back. Much better than 4.8 yards per carry for Blue, yeah. And then any thoughts on College Page moving towards that starting role? Eric?
Why not?
So, he's in the same group chat as Toadvine. So he's making fun of Toadvine here for oh, man. Yeah, so Josh is trying to get us on YouTube geniuses instead of message board geniuses. But
when your preferred walk-ons are good football players, that's a good thing, man.
No, absolutely. Yeah, that was one
it's
of the
free talent, it's free ability,
yeah,
and it costs you nothing as a program. So
speaking of walk-ons, what do you guys think about that? A reversal on the Taff? Obviously, Taff is long gone being a walk-on. Probably never should have been a walk-on. But what do you think about that reversal on that call?
On the targeting?
No, his other call. He had a touchdown called back. Do you remember that?
Oh no, I think you're talking about the targeting. That would be sick. I would be so happy. We could talk for 30 minutes on a Monday Live if Taff scored.
They never slowed down that the play for me to see whether or not it was targeting. It didn't seem like targeting in real time.
No, it's just a great hit.
That seemed like a hard hit.
Hard hits get called for targeting.
Yes, Drew, you would struggle with the modern game.
I'm glad I would have made it that long, dude.
They would have handcuffed him for the clat hit.
Kelton would just be serving continuous suspensions for targeting game to game. He just
HPD would have been out on the field, taking him off the field.
It was never coached out of me.
Oh man, that was the correct call. Taff had a really good game.
He's a good player.
He is a good player. Yeah, I mean, our secondary has been amazing. ULM has no passing attack, but 25 attempts, 54 yards passing, 2 interceptions. Like
they're just
our pass efficiency defense, our numbers are sick. So obviously those are going to change a little as we play like Georgia. But just to get back to Mississippi State, real quick. I didn't think they would be very good this year because the lines of scrimmage were poor. I thought they were going to be like a 1-7, maybe 2-6 SEC team. I think they're going to be more 0-8 or 1-7. And it's the line of scrimmage. It's not just the skill players. They are closer on the line of scrimmage to ULM than they are to a mid-tier SEC team. I mean, they just offensive line and defensive line. They just don't have the hosses, and you're going to see that in Austin on Saturday.
It's a whole new offensive line, I think, too.
Entirely new. 5 new starters, and they're all just like 2 or 3 of these dudes were not starters at the school that they transferred in from.
Yeah, so it's another week to work on the run game. Their defensive line is not. They usually have guys, or at least a guy or two. If you go back and look at some of the recruiting classes of the last 5-6 years, you're like, damn. That guy should be at Texas. They don't have those guys.
No, I was told they have guys who just you can see it on film. If they have a bad play, if they have a bad series, they're just not connected. They're not a connected team. You see them come apart, and that's by someone I know who was prepared. This is feedback I got from someone I know before they played them.
I think this gentleman is about 6'5", 320, and played for Texas.
350, but yeah.
350. Oh, do we have to do that to him in public? Come on. Come on.
That dude is massive.
Yeah, he's ready to be a head coach. He could be Bielema. He could be Heupel. He could be, maybe not Elko. Elko's not that.
Feast or famine.
Feast or famine.
Back to that. That was great.
That was my roommate.
It it's fun to see Kevin Coleman. That's the thing that I thought was interesting because I remember him from recruiting. So he was looking good on there. They've got a receiver, Craver, I think it is. Also, quick guy, quick 10-7.
They just have so far to go. I mean, I just can't imagine. Lane's got his foot on their throat. Just they're sunk. They're sunk. Levy's in an impossible spot.
That's what I was going to say. I don't know how you even get out of that and dig out of that. So
need to bring Dak back.
Yeah, get Dak back. No, Jerry handled that. He locked that down. But
they had the guy that could do it from just scheme and throwing a monkey wrench and everything with Leach, and of course his untimely passing. There's nowhere to go up from here. There's nowhere to go from here.
Yeah,
I don't know why Levy took it. I guess he had to move on from OU or whatever. But
he was kind of persona non grata there, and again, like I said, there's a lot of head coaches that are perfectly fine with a pay. I'm not saying that's him, but you'd be surprised. Everybody's like they're going to go in with their rah speeches and all that. They're looking at going to have $9 million guaranteed in the bank and being set for life after that. So I'm not saying that's him, but there are coaches that will jump the gun on a lifetime paycheck.
Yeah, I mean, you could create generational wealth just taking a major college SEC job, right?
Yeah, I don't fault them one bit. I'd go right for Texas for 5 years. I'm just kidding, but I don't fault them one bit.
You heard it.
You really want to?
It's not true. I would.
What are insiders saying about Quinn or Arch starting next week after MSU's game today? I think we just go to Arch again and let Quinn rest till OU.
The way that Sark was talking about how Arch had a really good week healing, maybe he had cups or acupuncture. I don't know. I tend to think that Arch is going to get, maybe the first half. I don't know. That's kind of a guess. I'll know pretty early in the week. And Justin Wales, I got to imagine that guy's already on the site, so he'll know early in the week too.
So you think Ewers is going to get first half at least?
I tend to think Ewers is going to start. I do. Just the way Sark was talking this week, and it wasn't. Yeah, I think so, but I'm not sure.
Okay. If he can go, he should go.
Right. Yeah, he's going to have another bye week, and then knock off a little rust between then. The way Sark mentioned it, like he had a really good week of healing, and the way that they played blue this week too, I think probably informs us towards Quinn playing.
Yeah, I did think that was interesting that they played blue if they didn't have to, because he could have theoretically kind of chilled.
Well, I think they're resting Trey too, and so they're surprisingly dinged up for having this schedule that they've had. And the games that they've had where they've been in control pretty much from start to finish. They've got a lot of little minor ankles and stuff, and ankles are a pain in the ass to get right in season. So,
all right, cool.
Yeah, I think the blue stuff's informative. I think you start Quinn and do a lot of quarterback run game.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Quarterback power.
Yeah.
Sark's going to get home and watch the USC Michigan tape and see what they did with Orgy.
Yeah.
And,
yeah, he's going to be inspired.
QB draw.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting. All right, anybody in the chat, y'all throw any last questions in here because we're getting ready to roll out. You guys.
Connor's on his third edible, man. You're so chill right now.
I'm so tired, dude.
It's crazy.
I'm tired, man. I was writing the breakdowns. Yeah, I've used a lot of mental ability, and so I'm not.
I thought we were going to come back from the ad spot, and he's going to have lava lamps behind him.
Yeah. No, I'm just a little bit beat, but
someone sent me a text message earlier. Asked me, do I think Wingo's starting by OU? How do you answer that?
Who cares?
I would say with how much we rotate, it doesn't even matter because he's getting so much. I mean, it feels like he's a starter how often you see him, So it's like if you're rotating that much, I don't even think it matters.
That's when I realize we need to get to some really good competition in games soon because people are just we're scratching and clawing now.
We're just spinning our wheels.
Yeah. Yeah.
Paul agrees thoroughly here. Good teams win. Great teams cover. Hook them.
Right.
It was touch and go with Niblet there. He did cover, then he didn't cover, then he covered.
That guy was a winner, then he was a loser, and then he became a winner again. And that just shows you the fine line between being a winner and a loser.
I think that good development in between plays from Sark to get it to develop him into a winner.
That's right.
All right, fellas. Thank you guys for coming on. Fans, thanks for watching. We will be back tomorrow for the day after live, and that'll be at 10:30 a.m. We normally do it at 2, but we had to switch it up. So 10:30 a.m. Central, and you guys will hear our thoughts after we get a rewatch in. Drew, thank you. Paul, thank you. Eric, thank you. Fans, thank you. And hook 'em.